matters.
Sometimes an inch matters, you know.
An inch does matter. I'm glad that we are starting the episode off with an inch
Great.
mattering. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Monoxide Podcast. I'm your host, Harris, AKA Monoxide, man of many automotive aspirations. I'm really getting sick of that part of the intro. We're going to have to switch it up. If anybody has suggestions, let's hear it. But I'm here with, well, we're back at the Ratified Studio, so this is different.
Been a while.
It's been a while,
Yeah.
man. We've been on the road, but I'm here with my co-host, Dan, AKA Gunna Garage, with some new wheel damage. We'll talk about it later. Don't worry about it.
I didn't think you were going to bring it up right away. It's
It's okay. We're all about damaged goods, and that's why today we have
Unfortunately, that should be my title.
damaged goods.
Yeah, just damaged. Just that's it.
Yeah.
So we got Jay from Car Bodega here,
Yeah.
Car.bodega, depending on the platform. But I think we just got back from the Optima Ultimate Street Car Challenge. It is a mouthful. I get it wrong often,
It's a lot.
but that was a pretty awesome event. That was my first time being a bit of a pit crew at said event, and then you guys were actually competing. So basically, you guys were just yelling at me, "Harris, grab that."
Yeah.
But it worked really well. You guys had a great time. You got third in your class,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Out of
That's
three.
not.
No.
Yeah. Let's just
No,
keep
I'm
the
just
total
kidding. There
class
was more
count.
than three.
It was 5,
Yeah.
which I like. Do we have to include out of 5 in there?
No,
But you were still doing pretty good. I mean, compared
Yeah.
to what you were running against, that was still.
It is worth noting,
Yeah.
right? In a car that's half the horsepower, you're only 10 seconds behind on cars that had double the horsepower.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
not too
tenths.
shabby.
Did you say tenths or 10 seconds?
Seconds. On a
Just-
track
seconds.
Okay. Yeah.
on
yeah.
a track that's very horsepower oriented,
Yeah.
that's not bad at all.
No.
Yeah, it has really long straights.
Yes.
That's really scary.
So
Yeah.
to give people a little bit of a background, we just came back from Road America. That's the Optima Ultimate Street Car Challenge. I'm getting it right still, right?
Yep.
It's a tongue twister if you're a newbie to it. But anyways, they basically travel the country hosting this event. It's kind of so. Dan, tell us a little bit about it because I want to mess this up. What's everything that's included? You got road course, autocross.
Road course, autocross, what they call the peak performance stop box.
Yeah.
I think that's just because
Yeah.
they sponsor it. So
Yeah.
anyway, then you got the stop box and then road course. And road rally. Yep.
A 10-minute drive up the street.
Well, they do that just so people that want to trailer their race car. The whole road rally is just to prove that you brought a street car.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. And we talked about that with Tim DeSestro when he was on this episode, episode 71 or whatever it was. I'm starting to forget them now, but he was talking about like, is it really a street car if you have to trailer it everywhere?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
No.
So, like, I think the road rally is a good way to get around it. Now, granted, 10 minutes is a little short. Like, let's do a 3-hour rally, and then we'll see.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be about an hour.
Yeah, that's what I was
Like an
thinking
hour
too.
out, an hour back. We're in the middle of nowhere. Like,
But I get it in interest
there's
of
so
time.
much road.
Yeah.
That night we had a lot of time.
I don't know. It seemed like it was like we had one thing after another. I barely got to sit down in a trailer for 10 minutes, and I was like, okay, now we got to get
That's
ready or we
true.
got to go do this.
Yeah.
So
But it was a really cool event, right? Because you have,
Yeah.
I don't even know how they managed to fit everything in that weekend because you had Trans Am, then you had like the TA2 series, then you had both, which is technically F3, F4, but not really series
Yeah.
because it's like the American version, the F1600 and the F2000, which is Ford, Dan.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how they were running all these series.
Yeah.
So
it was a lot.
but I think it was super cool. I did enjoy watching you run. That video that went viral of you sliding it. What's turn 14 called? Besides turn 14.
I was
can
about to
never
say.
remember any of these.
I don't
numbers.
know. There's so many tracks and so many turns. Like,
Turn 14 is the last run before you come into the big straight, right?
It's
Yeah.
the last left, and then you kind of go through a little bit of a slalom, and then the right to the big straight. And that, I didn't know how dangerous of a turn that was, but multiple people after that messaged me and said, "Hey, you're kind of lucky you didn't just go straight into that wall." And I'm like, I didn't even know that was an option. You know, like,
What's crazy though is like when you started losing it. I mean, you got it, and then you popped the awesome fireball. Ooh, fireball!
Yeah.
I said that on purpose, by the way. I was like, this is hilarious. But like when you lost it, I'm like, oh damn! Like I've never seen somebody spin out that way before.
Yeah.
Because usually on that corner, at least on iRacing, which is a sim, not a game. When I lose it on that corner, it's usually oversteer to the right, and then like as I'm
Off.
entering onto the straight.
Yeah.
That was
special.
Yeah. How did you like that Garmin, by the way?
I can do the impossible. That was actually really cool.
Yes.
I was really happy. It's like in iRacing when you hit tab or whatever and it shows the delta is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You can tell how not good at racing I am.
Well, you
'cause I
drive.
don't even know
It's
the
okay.
terms. So it shows the delta, and I always have that on in iRacing because I like to see every turn, and I'm also really slow mentally.
Yeah.
So like if I hit a turn 10 seconds later, I'll forget where I hit my mark. But if I'm watching the delta, I kind of do the turn, and I look at the delta and kind of watch my either if it's going red or green. I
Yep.
can right away figure out like program myself sooner or later. It was really cool seeing that.
Now you can also take that if you want to have it audibly coach you too as you go along, which is kind of a neat deal, which we didn't play around with.
We didn't play around with that. So explain, how does that work?
I think it takes your optimal, so you have to run the track a couple times so it gets an idea of how you drive and what the course layout is, and then it's supposed to, because it tells you if you would have braked.
Yeah. If you
would
slow down,
brake, 38 feet later,
yeah.
whatever. So then I think it just tells you that, hey, don't brake right here. Try braking here.
So as you're driving, like let's say you're going into turn 5, the scariest of corners in my opinion.
Yeah.
Does it audibly tell you like brake?
It's supposed to.
Before the turn even comes up.
It. Yeah.
I tested it, and when you do the test audio, it says next turn, brake sooner and turn in sooner, whatever. Like it was saying stuff that was like it was talking in the future. So it would assume as you come up to a turn, it looked at your last lap and it's like, hey, by the way, just a reminder, idiot.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when your GPS is going haywire and it's like 3 streets over and it keeps telling you to do a U-turn. Just imagine that going haywire. I mean, it can't because it's pre-made or whatever. But but it would be hilarious if it was like live.
It's surprisingly really loud for what it was.
Yeah.
I could hear it talking and doing stuff
Through your helmet?
Through the helmet, windows down. It's a really impressive unit. For $1,000, that's okay. I'm not gonna spend $1,000. I'll put my phone on the dash.
Well, hold on. If there's we won't talk about it, but if there's a certain storm, we'll be getting a lot of them.
Oh yeah,
we don't have to get into that.
It's a slow year. That's just
But no, I think that was overall a good event. Like we managed to shave quite a bit of time off of yours, Dan.
Yep.
6 seconds from day 1 to day 2 after we were just we sat down because like day 1 was kind of like a day-to-day, I think, day 1, it was just one practice session.
Day 1 was technically Friday, which was just the parade lap. You're usually referring to Saturday when we did.
Saturday was when I was able to run the Garmin, got it to record. Then we reviewed the data that night. I will say, though, that I hit a little bit of traffic, so I will attest definitely some of the time to the catalyst, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying it allotted for my full 6 seconds. The other thing was we were second ones on the track that morning when I got my best laps. The car was running like it was just loving it. It was like 60, 70 degrees out. Yeah. It was sunny. Car was running great. I had wide open. It was
that morning session was good.
Yeah.
I wish I missed out on.
I had just slammed a Jocko. Like everything was clicking. I was like Limitless, that movie,
which is hilarious because he's bringing up the traffic. He's like, well, everything went perfect, but traffic.
Yeah.
Well, that was day 1 or Saturday.
That was on your practice.
Yeah.
We gotta know when to leave certain details out.
Plus, if I would have hit those numbers, I probably would have been in the red group, which I didn't really want to be in.
For sure. Which I don't know how I ended up in the red group.
Yeah.
Because I was also behind.
You were at the bottom of the red group, though.
Yeah.
You were like third to bottom.
But I'm still on varsity.
Yeah.
If I'm benched on varsity, you're kind of still there.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I like that analogy.
I mean, but I was behind these giant boats, which I don't know how. I don't understand how they're pairing certain classes when they do the practice session, but I was behind like 1980 trucks.
Yeah,
big boys. Well, what I think
that
it might
were
have
still
been
pulling like 230s though.
Yeah,
like,
they were still going pretty quick though.
Which is crazy, right? I think that's almost because I'd imagine they're making it up on the straights compared to you.
Yeah, and
I think if you lift them off of there too, the chassis underneath those things are not anywhere near.
They're pretty well built. Yeah, they were really fast on the straights.
Probably are lighter than your fucking
Which
Mazda.
is hard. I think overall, I didn't check the final results because I couldn't find the final results from the race.
I know where I came in. I don't remember where you came in.
I don't know where the race, how they landed on that, but I know as far as practice, I just like, I was right on them. The straights they'd leave, but by the first, second turn, it was like you're right on them again, and that was just kind of frustrating.
Yeah, that's definitely, well, that's also a power-driven track, right? Like, if this is like the Brainerd competition course, it would have been, you would have placed completely differently, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious, what's the next one? I know that one of the next guests we have coming up, he actually got invited to the SEMA Optima Invitational.
Yeah.
So I know that's one of where the other events are, but this is like a regional thing too, which is pretty cool. I haven't looked into it too much, but
yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be one of those like attend every year events though, just because
for sure.
As a spectator, like even though I wasn't participating on the track stuff, it was really fun.
Yeah.
Like to obviously record you guys. I was on the back of the Vespa with Jared.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
It was a good weekend, and it's kind of crazy to think that there's people. First of all, that's pretty expensive to just do that kind of racing in general, and then second of all, there's in just that one weekend, I'm like, God, this was expensive, and there's people that are just they travel with them and just do that ultimate street car. I looked at the stats of like who did what on whatever track events, and there was people that had done like 5 or 6 out of 8 events that they'd done so far.
Right, which. Same thing applies to like grid life, for example, right? Like if you want to do a whole season, it's definitely expensive. But if you're doing one, is it pricey? Depends on how you look at it, but
it is.
I think it is.
It is.
But you also get your money's worth, right? That's
I
the way
feel
I
like
see
what we paid for the weekend, I had an absolute blast.
Yeah, you know what? You're
sure.
right.
And if you're traveling with them, it definitely could get expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like if you look at like Crown Rally in 2018-19 when it was about anywhere from 2.5 to 4.5 for a ticket. Like, is it expensive? Yeah. Is it a fucking blast? Yeah. Well, checks out,
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get it, right? Whereas, sometimes we've done some of these like cheaper events, or I've even run cheaper events. It's like, it's different, right?
Yeah.
It's a different level of, it goes from hobby to real serious real quick.
Yeah. I didn't think I'd be as competitive as I am in like racing and stuff. So
Oh, fuck off.
yeah.
So while we're segueing into that, I have your overall standings. You want to know where you came out?
Give it to me.
So out of 100 cars, that
Okay.
was what we had there, right?
Okay.
You came in 45th.
What? No way.
And Justin, who was with us, came in 46th. And I came in 40th.
Okay. That's
So,
not bad.
No way.
Yep. So we're like slightly above average.
Who's in the
middle
top
of
40?
pack.
Because
Okay.
I don't think that
Mike
there was...
Roush is up there. He's like 25th.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It can give me like an old classic car.
But hold on, before what is that? Just for a road course?
No, that's all everything.
Like,
Oh,
so,
see,
like,
I want to know road course.
okay, I can get you
Because
the road
autocross
course. Yeah.
is really hard in that RX-7. I don't even think
You
we
guys
talked
are
about
both
what we
struggling.
drive.
Yeah. So Jay has both. What year's your R8? 2011.
2011 V10 R8. You
Yep.
got to say the V10. You can't.
Yeah. And then you also got a 93 FDRX7.
Yeah.
Which we will get into the details of that build at some point. But you guys were both struggling on autocross for you because we'll explain your what issues we're having.
That's a track car, like big course car, and it does, I think, very well on the road course. It is what I've learned, not an autocross car, and the reason is because maybe I just don't know how to drive it.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't know how to drive it, but I don't know if this is why I have this issue. I can't get into first. Like first gear, when you first get a car, you don't know what noises it makes. You don't know what it's supposed to do or not do. And you kind of careful with stuff because you're like, this might
Sounds like
break.
every relationship ever, too.
Yeah.
You don't know what noises it makes and does not do.
So I just can't get into first unless you're going slower than like 8-7 miles an hour. And in autocross, like once you get into second and you're rolling, when you have to get into first, you're going like 10-15, and so, but that's also too slow for second.
Mhm.
So it's
And then
like
you just bog.
perfect storm where it's like too slow for second, but I'm going too fast to get into first. So yeah, it's that balk, and I'm making, like I say, one wheel torque in that car. And
If you can't get
Yeah.
in an autocross, if you can't get your car back into first gear, that's like
game over.
you could have shaved so much time off.
It's
having
like
been able to do that.
game over.
Well, it
for
wouldn't
me.
be a problem, right, if he had that low end torque in second, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no torque.
Right, because you could do the whole course in second.
Yeah, I could in my orange car for sure.
Yeah.
Shifting. I guess I don't really. play
Gearing's a
around with
big thing too,
yeah.
right? But my first gear was like would have almost worked, but I don't know if you guys could hear me when I was on the autocross. My best session, I just stayed in first. So
hold on, dyno run. So that is one of the things that was a really quiet car.
we should have a dyno cam. It just switches over to the
Dude,
dyno.
That's a good idea. I should have a
Let's just
dyno cam.
See what,
I'm going to talk to Trey about that. That's a really good
you
idea.
set up a camera down there while you're recording.
Yeah, I'm too lazy to edit it, but we'll see if we can make it happen.
I just slap it in.
Just every time when you got the thing of it just pops in.
Yeah.
Insert
It's
that
like alarms.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea, dude.
So I was in first and then going around, and on that course, I was like, I'm just gonna rev bang it like bam, 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 bam. And it's like I know the turn's coming up, and I'm not gonna go in a second because I know I'm gonna have to like brr, 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 brr. So I just go through a turn and bam, 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 and then slow down, and then bam, 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 bam.
These are not the noises we're normally hearing when we have podcasts. There's not a lot of sevens.
For a brief moment, I want you to imagine the listener, and this is turned up in their car, and their windows are down, and then the car next to them just looks over, and they just hear bam, 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 bam.
What kind of stuff are you watching?
I really want somebody, if I get to the point where, because I'm not doing it, if I can get somebody to go through all 100 episodes when I get to episode 100 and get every funny noise and make a compilation.
Yeah.
Because there's been some hilarious noises on the show. But yeah, no, I heard you rev banging it all the time. Like, it was very obvious. And like, I think even in one of the videos I sent you, I'm like, what's this idiot doing?
Yeah.
But it makes sense, right?
Yeah, that's the only way that could be quicker. It's like second gear, you just lose way more time.
What if you went to, the thing is those RX-7s, they love high RPM.
Yeah, that's the other thing. If you can't, like you said, get back into first because they want to be, like, it's not even coming alive till $4,000.
Yeah, I'm happy with the car. Well, we were talking about doing the T56 Magnum swap, which like I really want to do, and I'm getting the full package built out. Actually, I should get an email today with the turnkey cost. I got to install it, but it's pretty much everything: clutch, transmission. The Dan knows more about T6060 is what it is, because the T56 Magnum is some other transmission. Right?
It's the TR6060 and the T56 are basically
the same thing.
The same, yeah.
So that clutch, throwout bearing, the cylinder, the master cylinder for the clutch.
Before we get too far into the show, I wanted to take a moment to talk about Raise a Hood. If your daily driver is having issues, aka your beater you got off Craigslist, Raise a Hood's telemechanics and AI tools can help you diagnose and solve the issues you may be dealing with for a fraction of the cost. All you have to do is add your car to the Raise a Hood garage to get started. You can provide the AI tool, also known as Gus, with the specifics of the issues you're having, and it'll help you narrow down what the culprit is. It's a great way to bounce ideas off of to figure out what actually might be the problem. You can then select from a variety of solutions to explore the cost and difficulty of doing the repair yourself versus taking it to a shop. If your car doesn't have detailed solutions yet, that's totally fine. Just go ahead and add your car to the garage for free, and that'll let the Raise a Hood team know what to focus on as they continue to develop and grow. If you want to try out Gus or chat with a telemechanic, go to raiseahood.com and add your car to the garage to get started. Use code MONOXIDE-FREE for a 1-month free subscription, or Monoxide20 to save 20% on a 30-minute call with a telemechanic. Let's get back to the show. Longtime listeners of the show know that I don't like to peddle BS. Whether it's my own merch or the people I represent, I want to make sure that my listeners are getting the best quality stuff. That said, we had the Lunatech team on a podcast on episode 57, and they talked about their awesome detailing products. My personal favorite's Aquabead, just because it really makes it easy to not have to clean my car again. But I also enjoy Skeeter Deleter and Lemon Tech because I got a lot of brake dust from riding people's asses and having to slam on my brake. Don't worry about it, okay? That said, you want to use code Monoxide, save 15%, give it a shot. I promise you won't be disappointed.
All that stuff for like $7,500. Which I feel like is not bad, but then it's kind of like, I step back and I'm like, I'm throwing all my money in a hoopty. I'm throwing $8,000 in a $30,000 car, and I'm that guy that I judge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like, you also just bought yourself seconds on the track and better standings. I mean,
you know.
Yeah.
From now on, by the way, anytime you get like a potential spam, we're answering it.
Yeah, all right.
I think so.
Good. That happens about 42 times a day. So,
no, my dad would like mess with spam callers sometimes.
Oh, I do it all the time.
But because like one of the things you could consider is, did you ever figure out what size turbo's on there or no?
No, I just bought the car and I just haven't. Every car I get, I don't stick to the same type of car. Like I either get a classic or now like supercar that's like V10 naturally aspirated. I had an
or
i8.
A Camaro.
Yeah, I had a Camaro, which is a V8.
Don't worry, I'm shopping.
Sorry to hear that.
i8 hybrid that was like a 3-cylinder turbo, but then it's got a hybrid system. Like,
that's, by the way, the worst car you've ever owned, I'm sure.
I love that car.
Really?
I have a friend, Victor Wong. He has an Aventador. I think it's an SVJ or maybe an SV. And
it might be a cheeseburger Aventador with fake stickers.
It's definitely not.
It's definitely real.
It's not cheeseburger style. But he talks about how he misses i8 all the time, and I miss it, honestly.
As a cruiser, I'm sure it crushed.
It was great. And a lot of people don't know it has launch control. Like, a lot of people don't know you hit the right buttons, you put your foot on the brake, full gas, a little race flag comes out, and that thing, okay, maybe it doesn't like pull, but it pulls all right, you know?
For something with a 3-cylinder in
like,
it.
I had a blast in that car, but like my point is every car I've gotten has been different, and now I'm in a rotary. So it's like...
Hold on, everybody else I've talked to, well, it's like 50-50 with the i8s, right? Like for some people it's their dream car. But like I've heard mixed reviews. Like some people like you love them.
Yeah.
Other people are like, it's the worst sounding, it's the worst performing. Like just every long list.
Those are people that don't own them.
No, those people who have owned them. I know somebody who
whatever.
absolutely hated them. I'm not going to say who it was. I just did a large project for them.
Yeah.
But they had an i8 and they're like, I need to get rid of this thing immediately.
I liked it. I don't know. I'm weird. There's some quirky stuff that
You're
I like.
a quirky guy.
Yeah, I like the unique quirky stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And
You don't see a whole lot of them out there. That's
you
for
don't.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was in Austin, Texas, and, you know, down there I was in a big supercar group, and we'd go out with 720s and GT3 RSs, and you'd see my i8 hanging with everybody.
It does look more impressive than it actually is.
Yeah.
Slide this over just the hair. You're getting a left shift.
Starting to
Or, I mean, you can shift too,
No, you're
but
fine.
no, one of the funniest things, like especially when I'm editing this podcast, is I see like people favor one side. Like Dan's a
Slowly
left
starts
sider.
to-
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying you're thinking like, all right.
Well, I got this huge wallet in my right pocket, which I know you yell at
Dude,
me all the
you
time.
need to
Yeah.
stop doing
know.
that.
Yeah.
That's horrible for you. PSA,
funny.
by the way, having it your wallet like while you're sitting, like that's literally like one of the fastest ways to like destroy your back. Like by
In your
70,
back
you're
pocket?
done. Yeah.
I didn't think there was any more people that existed that were back pocket walleters, you know?
That's
Yeah.
our generation, dude.
Yeah, like I'm a front pocketer. I think that's solely front pocket stuff now.
Yeah, you can't pickpocket us. Like, I mean, you can if you really tried,
mean-
but like, for example, if you go to like Germany, they're really known for like their pickpocketers apparently,
Yeah.
like for their tourists. And I was like sitting here thinking like, hey, I'm a front pocketer.
I'm just trying to show off these glutes, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't have an ass at all whatsoever, so I'm just trying to.
Dan just stuffs 2 big wallets in his pockets.
What a fucking catfish.
Yeah.
But so anyways, back to the RX-7, back to like, would
The
you
tracking
consider a
and stuff.
smaller turbo then?
I don't think this. So maybe I would get a lot more power on the low end. I think just gearing is a thing, but
You'd lose the top end though.
I autocross the R8, so I don't mind keeping the R8 as an autocross car. It's fun to still drive it and track it. I know it's controversial if autocross is tracking or not, whatever. But I like to take that out and play with it and see what its limits are. So I almost want to keep the R8 as an autocross car and the RX-7 as a full track car.
Gotcha. One
And-
for 46th place and the other one. Okay.
The other one for 47th, yeah. So I'm happy with that. It just kills me when there are events that have autocross or dragging included. When we were at TTS and I took the RX-7, that thing was rough to look at.
I like those though, because then you get. I don't know. I think it shows. Like I like having things that are versatile, right? So
Yeah.
they may not be great at any one thing, but there's ways to that. Like there's cars that show up that are better at drag and suck at road course
Yeah.
too. So it all
Yeah.
kind of like evens itself out by the end of the event.
The problem is I was bad at everything.
Yeah.
So
Well, you did okay at road course. I gotta
Yeah.
keep. I
road
gotta
course
keep
was
trying
good.
in.
I didn't have. No, you're good. I didn't have. What I found out was 200 treadwear tires. They're not created equal. And that's something that I learned out there. I was tracking and I was like, how is a Piero, Mr. Pushy, in a 200 horsepower crank, 200 horsepower FRS, beating my over 300 wheel RX-7? And we have the same tires and everything. And granted, he is a way better driver, but he
Yeah.
was doing like a lot better than me. And I was like, I feel like it shouldn't be that much of a difference. And I know he'd probably still be faster than me, but
In every way possible, yes.
yeah, even if I did have the exact same tires, but I found out then that I was running endurance tires that are like lapping tires, which were the K pluses, Ventura, something like that. K pluses. I'm not a tire guy, so I don't know.
Versus
Obviously.
what was he doing?
He was running whatever other tire that was not that. That was more of a track tire. And
So like different compound, same tread width or whatever.
same treadwear, which doesn't make
Treadwear,
sense
yeah.
to me. I would assume treadwear's treadwear. Like it's the stickiness, how much it grabs.
Right.
But no, so now I'm running RE71 RSs, which are way better. And I know we were pretty close in time in Road America, but you were running
300 treadwear.
Yeah, like some street tires.
PS4s. Yeah, if you think that he's got a video of you sliding, he's got videos of me all
just
over the track, sliding left and right.
Yeah. Like the video I posted on your Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Did you like that one?
The cone one.
The cone one was hilarious. I got a video of him bipping a cone like 20 feet. Like,
dude, Mal came to me, and you can edit this out or not if you want, but she came to me. She's like, I don't like what Harris posted. It's kind of nasty. And I'm like, I read it. And I was like, he didn't mean to put that word. It's supposed to be cone. And she's like, oh, that makes way more sense.
What was the word? Oh, never mind.
I didn't even realize it. And then she texted me. I'm like, change it.
Did you like fat finger the keyboard and put an M?
It might have auto-corrected because you know what's...
I was like, Harris can be nasty, but he's not that nasty to post it on there.
No,
it's like a Brazzers title for a GT500.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I will never do anything with anyone else's content that I won't do with my own. Like, I don't like to... Scratch that, actually. I'm such a fucking hypocrite because I just put that no more nut title on that. Okay, I'm a hypocrite. Never mind, I take that back. But, like, I wouldn't do that on your page. So... Cone corrected to come. It's okay.
Was it C-U-M or C-O-M-E?
No, it was C-O-M-E. That's why I was like, no, definitely.
I feel like you could, But yeah, tires.
Yeah.
Tires are not all created equal. And I think...
It is crazy.
It's helped me a lot. And so... I forgot where we were going with all of this.
Well, that Dan has you had a street tire, right? The reason you had PS4s, right, is because you do rallies and all these other things. Yep. You like it to be streetable, but like... Oh. Now you're considering getting yourself a track set of tires.
Yes.
For events like that, because I think you easily could have shaved a second or two.
So much more fun.
Yeah.
A lot more fun.
But dude, that afternoon session, some people were eating it.
It was greasy out there. It was hot.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, continue.
No, you go ahead.
It sucks. I didn't even get a morning session.
Both of you stop.
Yeah. I didn't get a morning session, and I'm really upset because people were flying off the track on the afternoon session, and I'm like, seems like there was more grip in the morning. Mm-hmm. So I was pretty upset about that, and I was sliding around, but I guess I was happy with my time.
What was the issue in the morning again?
Before I answer that, was your fastest time in the morning or afternoon?
It was in the morning. You would have probably killed it that morning. And we got a lot of laps. I've got 3 or 4 in.
Yeah, so I want to say that I'd be, instead of 45th, I'd maybe be like 43rd if I got a morning session. But yeah, so morning race session. Vacuum hose blew off.
Your
a banjo bolt came
loose on your vacuum actuator for your wastegate.
Yeah, and so it was pumping like 30 psi.
Yeah,
into the
your
motor.
Wastegate was basically not opening.
It was like full, it wasn't opening. It was like throwing full boost.
Yeah,
and I was going around, and all of a sudden the car was getting like almost like a fuel cut. And the only reason I know what that felt like in the RX-7 was I was getting fuel cut at Brainerd because I was running it too low. So we were going around, and all of a sudden you hear like, I'm on the throttle, and I know I wasn't at the top of the RPM range, and it just felt weird. But I was like, I'm just gonna go with it, whatever. I know I had fueled up before that session, so I probably should have slowed down and known. Luckily, I didn't blow the motor. But looked down, it was hitting 30 psi, and I was like, "That's not great."
I mean, kudos to that car though for eating up an extra 10 psi of boost and not blowing up. Like it just gobbled 15. It up too. It really wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't.
It's only tuned to 15 psi.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like eating double, and I was only running. It was supposed to be at 12, and so yeah, it was putting almost 20
on 93
psi
octane too.
Yeah, and like so. Yeah, I was getting almost like a fuel cut issue, and then lots of smoke. So I pull over, I pit. The guy comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, are you trying to get out? Because we're getting calls that there's a lot of smoke coming out." I was like, "Thanks, buddy. I kind of figured that out, Pull over, and I was freaking out. I was like, I blew a turbo, Like,
your day was done. I think I got it on video, right? Yeah, we'll see the video soon.
Yeah, so I thought my day was
distraught.
Done. Yeah, I was very distraught, but I was kind of excited because I was like, "This is the track life." Yeah. Fix your car by the next race session, We got trailers and we got quick jacks and tools, and that's all we need.
All you had to do is tighten a bolt.
Yeah. Somebody's like, this bolt came loose, I was like, fuck.
I literally got him on the phone. I was like, what the fuck happened? He's like, I blew my engine up.
I think the text said, I'm done, car's toast.
Yeah,
or something like
I
that.
was pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
I'm like a spicy queen sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, like a drama queen.
So, I really would like to get like a FD expert or like a rotary expert on the show, right? Because like, when you bring up that, being up to 30 PSI, like I can't imagine rotaries have the same end result from knock, right?
They do, so
Yeah.
we're gonna get totally lit up in the comments because none of us know anything
Anything
hardly about them. But
there
yeah,
should be like a brr, brr disclaimer.
yeah, but there's no
We don't know
like.
what we're talking about.
By the way, if you don't cut together a reel of all of his sound effects throughout the whole
I'm
thing.
fired.
Yeah,
But no,
what
like
does an RX-7 sound like? Brr, 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 brr. Anyway, as far as I know, there's no like valve train, right? Like, so
No.
it should be
You just blow seals. I'm pretty sure you just get
Is that what it is?
Apex seals.
or whatever seals.
Because like you can't. I'm very careful saying this because like when you have a piston and a rod, you get a window, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm out of my depth here. Let's
I
move
haven't
on.
compression tested it yet. And it was probably a bad idea to not check the health of the engine before running the next race. And we were just like, well, let's just tie in this bolt and jump back on a racetrack.
That's what you import guys do. You just oil down the track for everybody else. I get it.
I was just like, I'm looking for a reason to buy a new motor.
Yeah, I could tell that from having conversations with you. You're like,
I said
already
it like 20
priced
times.
out everything.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I was like, a new race motor from Australia was like $9,000.
yeah.
Except when it gets time to spending it, you'll be like, oh no.
Yeah, you're right. So it was like, it got kind of nervous, but we just tightened the bolt and we were just like, it runs fine. I guess we're gonna find out, and it ran fine. I didn't really feel a loss of power, and I think that's what you feel when you lose seals. Is like, I guess you're getting.
You'll probably notice more smoke, more than that.
Oh, definitely was getting more smoke. I was in the
Yeah.
pit area, and smoke was like passing me going the right. It just rolled up my
really?
window like, I don't know who that guy is. You know? So I don't. There's sometimes you hear noises, and you're like, has that been there? Or am I just noticing it?
Yep.
Am I just noticing it, or is it a new noise? And it starts like you start getting in your head. There's these like weird demons talking to you.
Yeah.
It's like your car's gonna break.
Anytime there's a little shake or a wobble too, you're like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, I got a hub assembly going out, or
Dude,
yeah.
we got that
Then,
at
then you get on
the.
a different road service. You're like, okay, never mind.
Yeah, well, we had that at TTS. My shifter was jumping up 8 inches.
Oh, that's right.
Well, we did find some stuff wrong with that.
More
we can
loose
talk
bolts.
about that.
Sure,
in the
tell us
future.
about it.
Well, as I say, we can wait. But
I think you should get a hold of Loctite as a sponsor for your.
Right, I am losing a lot of
Yeah,
bolts.
yeah.
Holy shit.
That's what happens on lawnmowers and weed whips. They shake apart.
Yeah, they just shake apart. Definitely don't want to. Oh yeah, it's Loctite. Yeah, I need to start just jumping straight to which one's the strong one? The blue one,
The red one.
the red one. We just
Yep.
need to jump straight to red at
Yep.
this point. It's
Just dip the bolts in it and then bolt them on.
so Brainerd. What happened? We did a couple sessions, and then all of a sudden my shifter was jumping up. Like my shifter was in my hand, and just all of a sudden I'd get on power, and it would just come up like this, and I'm like, that guy's running away.
Air dicking.
Yeah, it was like I was in my hand, and it was just kind of moving on me. I was like, hey, buddy, I barely know you. You know?
We just met.
This is my first time taking you out, literally. So, and that was literally my first time taking the car out. So it was jumping, and you go into the car, and I'm like, the motor mount was loose.
Yep. There's a cross member that goes from the rear diff all the way up to the transmission.
Yeah, that one, that's called the PPF. But not only that, the literal motor mount where it comes through, it kind of goes through the motor, 2 bolt holes through the motor, comes out, and then it goes through the subframe. Those bolts were loose. So I assume it was letting it kind of rock a little bit. We saw that, and we're like, oh, this is bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to the back of the car, and the PPF bolt was also, I think it was loose, right? It wasn't gone.
But it might have been like,
I could turn it with
there
my
was like a
hand.
good 3/4 inch
Yeah.
gap between the head and the where it should
Like I
have
was
been.
turning it, I was like, is this supposed to spin like this? We tightened that, and then we found a crack. Did we find the crack? No, I found the crack afterwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't remember.
There's a
there being
small hairline crack on the PPF mount now. And then after Brainerd got home, I was at Puro's shop, and we were preparing for Road America. And there was a bolt missing from that same setup, from that PPF mount. It was completely missing. So I've lost a lot of bolts, and then the banjo bolt came loose. So the guy that sold me the car, that's an engineer, he literally said, well, before you track the car after every session, make sure all the bolts are tight.
Oh, really?
You know,
we're just now hearing this information.
Yeah,
by the way.
and I'm like, kind of just glossed over that. You know, you like get something with instructions, you're like, fuck it.
Yeah, right.
You know? He's like, you should do all these things. He gave me a list. And
So, honest question though, like when you go to IKEA, right? Like, do you don't keep the directions?
I
do
raw
you?
dog it, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I raw dog it, and shit's upside down and inside out, and I'm like, is the door supposed to open into the cabinet? It seems like I can't even put shit in there because when I close it, it just puts everything out. Oh yeah, I raw dog a lot of stuff. Whoa. You know, just life in general.
Hey man, I judge people who raw butt toilet seats, man. I get it.
Yeah, we don't have to get into that. I'm one of those people. Yeah,
Hashtag
so
staph infection. Continue.
it's a great car. Honestly, that RX-7, a lot of people were like, oh, you're gonna have a lot of issues.
Well,
As we're just got done listing some of your
a lot of issues, which that's not even the full list. We're halfway there.
Yeah.
It's been a great car. It seems durable. You know?
There's still some like simplicity to it though. Like when you really pop open the hood and get underneath the car and do all that stuff, hey buddy.
Yeah.
It's really not like everything that we've done you've done has been able to been a pretty quick fix too.
Yeah,
It's not been
Well, yeah.
so far.
People say pop the hood and they're like, let's look at the motor. I'm like, dude, there's nothing under there. It's
Yeah.
like a little fucking
just two alternators.
Yeah.
It's like just look in this cylinder that goes to the back. There's nothing to it. And then it's got the blue hoses and stuff that are like 1990, you know, or early 2000s,
I don't hate 'em.
Fast and Furious. Yeah, but then now the car's red, and now I look like I have a bad style.
Well,
you know?
pink or orange, or depending
Depending on the day, the clouds.
Whichever color of duct tape we picked
the
up from
temperature.
Farm and Fleet.
Yeah. We're bouncing around like crazy, but that car's great.
Mhm.
I've had fun with it. It's definitely been a fun car to like learn on, and I'm excited to take the motor apart when I have to when the time comes. I haven't compression tested it,
I think you're a glutton for punishment, man.
dude. I love it.
But I
Yeah.
think you really you're the creative type. Like you like to disassemble stuff. And
Yeah.
this is why I want to talk about the R8 as well, right?
Yeah.
Because like on your channel, I'm glad you're documenting this stuff too, because you're doing after you got a hefty bill. We won't say who. You're just
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna tear into this myself.
Are we just going into the R8?
I think it's fair enough. Well, we can bounce between the R8 and the RX-7, but but my point here is you're not scared to get into weeds and figure it out.
No, I'm just stupid. I found out it's not because I'm smart.
It's
and
not
confident.
bravery, it's stupidity.
It's stupidity, you know. 2011 R8, 55,000 miles now, I think, maybe a little bit over.
Brand new.
I mean, the RX-7 has over 100,000 miles. I feel like it's pretty new compared to the RX-7. That thing has not had a check engine light. It has not had a check engine light since the day I've had it, pretty much. Like I bought it off the lot. It was like Christmas. It was, and
You celebrate?
yeah, unfortunately, all year apparently. It was a check engine light, and at first it was an evap. So the R8, I've heard they're bulletproof motors, and when they say motor, they're literally talking about just the metal.
Yeah, no, everything else around it.
Everything around the metal just sucks. And so, yeah, 2011 R8 got it, and it was an evap issue. That when I bought the car, the guy said he fixed it. He sent me a bill from Red Rush. Maybe I shouldn't say who it is. A shop in North Dakota, wherever I bought it from. Anyways, and it said it was fixed. Oh, we didn't find any issues, or they fixed it, or whatever. Well, I test drove the car like 60 miles before I bought it. I should have got one of those fancy readers, not the ones that can read every car, but there's Audi specific ones that can read into every module. I should have connected it, bought that, and checked everything out. But the car's been great so far. I took it to a couple shops after that, and they couldn't figure out where the evap was coming from. So it basically lived with that most of its life until this winter.
For those of us that are silly geese, not me, what's evap stand for again?
Emissions vapor. This is bad.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just
something that's not good.
It controls the fumes for the gas tank, right? You recycle fumes.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so that you're not expelling gases into the environment.
That damn polar bears again.
Well, yeah. So it's lived with that its whole life. And then I tried to launch control it like a week into having it. And
which you should be able to do, though, technically. It's not like you have to own it a certain amount of time before you can play with launch control.
yeah, well, like I took one friend on a ride. He's like a friend / client. And so took him on a ride, and I was like, I don't want to launch control it because I want to be careful in the car. Mm-hmm. But then there's those people that, they're like, come on, I bet you can't do it.
Yeah.
And you're like, call me a bitch one more time. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not sure how much we can curse here.
You've heard everything I said. Okay. You're good.
Yeah.
So took one of my buddies on a test drive and went to another buddy's place and want to see your trick, and try to launch control it. And you just look back into the motor area, and it's full of smoke. So I launch it and it's like, bah, 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 and you're like, not even, you're going like 20 in first gear and it's like redlining and you're like, this doesn't look normal. Look back and it's just full of smoke. Full. And then look back at the dash, just like clutch overheat. It was rough. And so I think from that, I fried the clutch position sensor because it probably got really hot and fried the sensor that was right next to it. So whatever, I had that issue come up. And I've just been slowly fixing the issues that have been building up. I'm very much the type to be like, it'll run fine. So
until it's not.
Over winter, when I went back home to Texas, I bought me a set of quick jacks, which I love.
Which
Those
was a hit
awesome.
At the track, by the way. People were coming by and taking pictures of
What
them.
is that? I was like, wait, you never seen a chunk of metal before?
Yeah.
No, it was kind of surprising how few people knew what quick jacks were.
Yeah, they're great. So went home and so throughout this process of having engine issues, I took it to a shop and I was quoted $42,000 to fix the issues it had.
And whole RX-7, by the way.
Yes.
A whole RX-7, which is why we now have the RX-7. So I was quoted $42,000 to fix them. And here's my thing, like I educate myself as much as possible when I have a car because I want to,
as everyone should, because you don't want to get
taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And you don't know, and like this R8, it's just a car at the end of the day. People are scared of it, but it is a little bit complex when you start thinking about how it, like this hydraulic shifting mechanism, that has its own complexities. But luckily online, like that car has been sought after by enthusiasts for a while. Sorry, I'm drifting. That car has been sought after by enthusiasts for a while, now that they're so cheap. And you have a lot of people that have started to document a lot of the, components and the systems. And so I found how the hydraulic system worked. Went in, I'm like, okay, it has a pump and it goes over to 3 different actuators and it has an accumulator that, because hydraulics, you can't really store pressure. So they use an accumulator that has like air in between and it kind of stores pressure that way. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's my understanding of it. So I kind of educated myself on this, took it to a shop, and they're quoting me a new transmission. And I have the reader that I can read the VCDS, whatever. It's like a special computer that you can read every module. And I can see it says clutch position sensor, loss of pressure internally, because I know there's no fluid on the ground. It's just losing pressure within that hydraulic system. And it's pretty, once you understand the system, you're like, well, what holds pressure? You're like, the pump can flow back into the tank. The accumulator isn't storing pressure, or those actuators are letting, fluid through. Well, I was quoted a whole new transmission, which didn't come with sensors, doesn't come with a hydraulic shifting mechanism, doesn't come with anything that the car needs to fix it. And so, I was like, I'm just going to fix this myself. The other so that was 23,000. The other 23,000 was basically like carbon cleaning it, carbon clean, fixing the evap, and then replacing some sensors behind the intake.
And you got that sorted too, right? Or no?
So the first 23,000, which is like the motor area, I did that myself. So went home for winter and I was like, my problem was that there was parts quoted that I felt like didn't need to be replaced. And I understand a shop's, thoughts behind that. It's like, let's just replace everything while we're there. Cause then if it's not that and we have to go do double labor, it's going to suck for you.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure they don't mind. They're like, we just got, to work on your car twice.
It varies.
But one, I don't trust people that work on my cars because you don't know.
You got trust issues.
Well, like I own a business and I know people own businesses and you just never know who's actually working on your car.
Yeah.
And so I felt like whoever diagnosed this didn't understand the system and they're just like throwing everything at it. Oh, let's just replace everything that's there.
Mm.
It took me 10 minutes on a forum figuring out like, hey, that one-way valve getting stuck open. Oh, and then it had the one-way valves getting stuck closed. So I went on a forum. There's this guy in Russia or something that documented it. And he's like, there's a one-way valve under the intake that you have to take everything apart and just replace that 20-cent one-way valve. And it fixes that code.
Yep.
And what I was being quoted was like $5,000 to replace a bunch of parts that it wouldn't even have fixed it because that wasn't even what was causing the issue. Another one was the sensors behind it.
I tell this to people all the time when they get into something like, I don't know if you've joined any Rotary pages yet on Facebook or done any of that stuff, but as soon as you get something and you want to learn, get into the forums, get onto the Facebook page. There is a whole bunch of knowledge out there, people. If you think your shit's broke, it's happened to somebody else before too.
And it's really broke. And the forums have helped me a lot. So I took it home. I bought the parts, spent like $1,500, $2,000, and I took the intake apart myself. It was scary. I was kind of scared I would break something. But I think every car is relatively the same. You just got to be organized, which I'm not.
Yeah.
You know?
Neither am I.
But
I have seen both your guys' garages. It's rough.
Yeah. So
thank God his is tiny. Yours is like an entire junkyard.
I just like, I was like, I'm going to do it. What's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to take it to somebody anyways.
Right.
Like
they'll replace the parts then once you got them in a bucket.
Yeah, I'm like, I already got it taken apart, you know? If anything, I played myself a little bit.
Yeah.
But the way I see things is like, you know, if you try it and you fail, at least with fixing your car, the worst case is you take it to somebody anyways. So I took the intake apart. I carbon cleaned it myself, which I think was like $3,500 of that. I bought a walnut blaster at Harbor Freight, which is my shit. I love Harbor Freight.
Oh, yeah.
Because like they have the lifetime warranties and everything just like everyone else. So I go to Harbor Freight, bought a walnut blaster, and that's it. Took the intake apart. I made sure to tape, like got blue tape, and just labeled every hose. So if it came off the intake, on the intake side, A, B, B. When I forgot what, like, did I mark B already? I'd start drawing a stick figure. Oh, this is the little man, you know, and then start drawing right dog on one of them. Dog. And I labeled everything and took it apart, carbon cleaned it myself, and now I know about the car more. Replace the sensor. So I fixed all those issues for about $1,500.
Well, that's a huge confidence booster for you as well, to be able to know that you can get under there and be like, all right, I'll take a day of this and fix it.
It's empowering. You're like, something breaks? I fucking got this, man.
I am man. You just start beating your chest. Yeah. You get done. You're like,
like a monkey, you know, like a gorilla. You're just, you start like, you know, trying to get aggressive with your car, reminding it who's the boss.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you apart right now. I will strip you down naked and embarrass you.
Yeah.
So we got monkey noises added to the list.
Yeah. This episode is going to be full of so many highlights. It's going to be great.
I'm verbal. I've just kind of had to
By the way, is this what I look like when I talk with my hands? Because I'm I talk with my hands a lot too.
I don't think you've ever punched the mic like he just did,
but once or twice.
Sorry, buddy.
It's okay. I've hit myself in the face a few times on accident, but it happens. Yeah. I think that's part of the game. But no, that's one thing I noticed immediately about you is like you're just like, well, why don't I do it?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been scared. I don't think anybody should be scared to work on their own stuff. It's nice, you know?
Well, hold on. Some of us only have one method of transportation, too.
Yeah. If it's your only method, I'm fortunate enough where I have multiple vehicles and I have the finances to be like, if I break something or if I make it worse, I have the money to be like, okay, I'll go pay for my mistakes.
Right.
This year, it's a slow year for business, but, you know,
this dude is doing the brakes in the morning on our way to Optima. He's about to tow, 2 race cars for 6 hours.
Doing the brakes myself. Yeah, it was rough.
I'm over there pumping. He's like, pump? I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, this year it's a DIY. I really got a DIY.
Well, you learn. So my knowledge of cars and stuff came from literally just not being able to afford to take mine to a shop to get cars fixed. You know, so it was like I had to. It was either I fix it or fucker shit's broke for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I like it.
To your point,
it's good. I kind of like the fact that you could take your car to a shop and you're still diving into it.
Yeah.
Well, one thing you had to that you pointed out earlier that you kind of touched on is like diagnosis is like a huge thing too, right? Like that's one of the things that Rat here prides himself on. Like that's why the dude has 2 shops now. Like diagnosis is like his thing.
Like I would rather pay more in the diagnosis, and then it might save me $10,000, and that's what it would have done with the so they wanted to replace the transmission. when I learned about the system, it would have been a $300 sensor, the pump for the motor for the hydraulic system, $300, and the accumulator was $200. Almost, let's say $1,000 in parts, and that fixes my transmission issue.
Right.
Versus 23,000. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a good deal.
Yeah.
Saving that,
Race car math.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. So carbon cleaned it, fixed most of it. I haven't worked on the transmission issues yet. I have all the parts though. And
what's the transmission issue currently?
That's the clutch position sensor and the hydraulics loss of pressure.
That's
it's not bad. The car still drives. Mm-hmm. But
I was definitely nervous after I gave you that car back, because remember on our way back from the rally, I think is when I drove it, right?
Oh yeah.
I took it for a quick rip and I fucking sent it, and I did one time in auto and then one time with the paddle shifters, and I think in auto is when I banged it off the rev limiter somehow. Yeah. Which is funny. I was like, uh-oh.
A lot of you guys know Ratified Motorsport for their RS3, TTRS, 1,000 horsepower hairdresser car builds, but they are so much more than that. From basic maintenance on an R35 GTR to, cute little Volkswagen GTIs like mine, they're able to do a little bit of everything. Whether it's your basic maintenance or an intake and a tune or even a full-blown build, be sure to go to ratifiedmotorsport.com to get yourself booked today, and I hope to see you guys at the shop.
It's meant to be driven. I got that car because it's like, I want it to be used. I don't want to be like, oh, am I afraid to put miles on it? Am I afraid to go on a cruise?
I even know guys with salvage cars that don't want to put miles on their car. It really is sad.
Are we pointing about anybody in this room?
I'm up to 6,000 miles now, man. I got the car with 1,200 miles on it.
Dan drives. He'll track it. Yeah. Look, think
you
about it.
You don't want
to
drive it down to Texas, though. It's okay.
I wouldn't drive it down to Texas either.
That's a lot to go,
I drove back to Texas in the R8. I have the shittiest luck. Because when I was driving, it's a 20-hour drive. It rained the whole way. How is that possible? We got a whole country, and it rained the whole way. I pull up the radar, and there's a fucking cloud that goes from north to south. It's rectangular and right on 35 the whole way. I was like, I'm never driving this thing again down across the country. And granted, if it was sunny, I don't know. Like, straight highway drives aren't my thing. So I'm on Dan's side. Harris gives me shit for trailering my car back and forth.
To be fair, though, like I'm kind of going over that hump. Like I turn 25 here at the end of this month, and I do feel like I'm getting old at times.
You get older, and you're like, let's save it for the fun.
Right. Well, it's like, oh, yeah, maybe that isn't as good of an idea.
Yeah.
like my brother has like a different set of coilovers in his car, right? Mm. And I'm like, they're slightly more expensive. I'm like, okay, this is really nice.
Yeah.
it doesn't like because my car is just
yours are stiffer.
So much stiffer.
Yeah. Well, part of it too is that like, if I didn't have the RV, I would be sleeping in my race trailer like Bowen and
which
Mike
I'm going to
did.
be doing soon.
Yeah, so it was part of it is like how do you get your? I'm not going to drive the GT500 and pop a tent. Sorry, but I've grown accustomed to a certain lifestyle. Tent sleeping is way beyond where I'm ever going to be again in my life. So
I think there's a lot of people who don't put miles on their car. We have a lot in this community. In Minnesota, there's some in Texas that like they buy a car and they're garage queens, and I don't like that. I like to be able to drive my cars and work on them. That's another thing with working on the car. $13,000 for the mag ride coilovers. This might be a sin. I don't even know if I should say this out loud. I put BC Racing coilovers on my R8, and it handles better than 3 blown mag ride shocks. So, and it was like less than a quarter of the cost.
Yeah.
And I did it myself. Matt helped me a little bit in the garage, and it took me like 3 hours to do it. Granted, I had to go back and take it apart again because I swapped the springs from front to back by accident.
That's part of that reading the directions thing that'll help you out there.
Yeah.
If you're a mechanic and you haven't put something together and had to take it back apart again, then you're not an actual mechanic.
Yeah.
But did you guys see what I posted on the Monoxide Facebook page the other day? The comment, or no, I think I sent a screenshot to you guys.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this guy dresses like a mechanic, so yeah, he's definitely a mechanic.
Oh, is that what it was? I was like, I can remember. Was that, was he talking about Bryce or me?
About Bryce.
That's what I thought.
That's funny.
It's like, I trust this guy. He dresses like one. It's like, man, wait till you see Halloween. Mechanics are everywhere.
Well, now I carry my jumpsuit with me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You are official.
I'm official mechanic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to be able to say I can drive and work on my cars.
I think so. I think you fall in a very good niche. You cover all of it. You work on it. You actually drive the shit out of it. I think you got good taste in cars. What some people may disagree, but I think from the enthusiast perspective, I think you're doing all right. Now, granted, do I hate the Artronic? Yes, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, single clutch.
This is talking. Well, it's just I don't know. I really got accustomed to the DSG lifestyle and the GTI shifts.
Well,
fast.
there's somebody in the community that has a couple people with dual clutches. Come on, man. Someone with a Gen 2 dual clutch and another person with a Gen 1.
They've come down in price, bro.
Well, they want me to test drive there. They're just take my car for a spin. I'm like, no, because then I'm going to want it.
Yeah, right.
And I have no self-control when it comes to cars. So.
We know. You bought that RX-7 almost on a whim.
I know. So the R8 was going to be down. Oh, that's another thing. The dealer wanted to quote me. They were quoting me $10,000 to replace the ECUs. That's another thing that was quoted in that. So that $42,000 wasn't even including the ECUs. That was another $10,000 or something like that.
Should have just went Motec.
Well, they wanted to do. That's a lot harder than I don't know. Or maybe somebody's done it.
I'm fucking with you. There's no need for Motec on a stock car.
Yeah. So the dealer wanted to replace both, and then even at that, shops were quoting me $5,000 for just the ECU because that's what they run. I found a Euro shop in Europe, and they get ECUs. They get them out of used cars. You send yours. They pin it manually, and they transfer your data over and send it back to you for $1,500.
Oh, shit.
So here's the thing. I didn't know if that was the ECU that was causing that issue, but I'm a little computer monkey, and I'm on the computer looking for stuff, and somebody said, hey, I had this same issue with my ECUs, but I was like, I don't want to. And the dealer said it was ECU too. I don't trust the dealer.
Remind me again, what was the issue with the ECU?
It was just like intermittent reading. The code was just like intermittent communication or something like that. The dealer said it needed an ECU. I didn't trust them. I trusted some random guy on the internet. You know? So, but I didn't want to risk, even if they replaced one, which they didn't want to do, $5,000. They want to do two.
Yeah, that's not
10,000.
something that you can just return either.
And you can't return it either.
Yeah.
The guy in Europe, which I don't know what he's doing, how he makes money, but he's like $1,500. I'll send you your new ECU, and then if it doesn't work, you can just send the one I sent you back, and I just charge you like a $50 or $100 stocking fee. I was like $100 in insurance. That sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? It worked. For a little bit, I was scared I got scammed because I was like, this sounds too good to be true. But the ECU got here. So while I sent my right ECU that was the issue, I didn't want to do both. But I sent him my left anyways, and I was like, hey, can you pull the data? That way, if it's not the right and I need to buy the left, you have the data already stored. You can just send me the ECU for the $1,500. He did that. So lots of DIY stuff, and I think there's lots of ways that people can save money. And it's just like doing the work yourself, like studying the car, going on the forums and educating yourself, because dealers and shops are going to want to do it the right way, but like they're going to want to put everything brand new and do it top notch. And sometimes, I don't know, I don't believe you always need that. Do I need a brand new ECU?
It depends too on the type of customer, right? Like,
yeah.
For example, we talk about this with Michael from Razor Hood all the time too. It's like, well, Razor Hood isn't exactly like a platform for car enthusiasts, right? Like you're
right. Yeah, you and I've talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like a lot of guys are gonna be. It's more for like the average guy, probably like just a hair below like my level of knowledge. Like, granted, I don't.
To be fair, probably like 80 to 90% of every other person.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, you know, so it's like some people just want to take their shit to a dealership or a shop and just know it's done right. Yeah. Is it expensive? Sure. Well, yeah. As long as they don't have to worry about it again. Whereas you're like, oh, I fucked that up. I mean, it's still cheaper than a shop. I'll just jump back in there, you know? It really depends, right? On like is risk tolerance a good word? I think so, maybe.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, for example, when it comes to wrapping cars, I used to use this all the time, this analogy. I'm like, okay, a roll at the time, $600 or $700, or I could pay a shop $4,000. I can fuck up 6 times.
I was gonna say I'd rather fuck up a couple times.
Yeah.
Entire car.
I might get a panel done if I do it 4 times.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so it's like if it comes down to like a hood, like I used to offer to wrap my friends' hoods. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. What like shops are charging? I think I want to say like $1,000. I'm like, the vinyl is like $200. Like we could fuck this up 4 times and I still make a profit.
That's very much me. But yeah, I don't know.
I learned I hated wrapping full cars though.
Wrapping's rough.
It's tough. Especially depending. You were using a Nosatec film, which is thicker,
which was a bad idea.
Yeah.
This whole car was probably a bad idea. When the ECU, so the way the car, you asked how the car came about. The ECUs had to get shipped to Europe for the R8, and I didn't know how long it was going to take. And I knew I already wanted a track car because blowing a motor in an R8 is not cheap. If you want a new motor, I think it's about $55,000 to $60,000 for just the motor, and then plus installation is probably like another 5 to 10,
which is crazy. What's used?
25,000 junkyard motor, which like I don't know. I could sell this motor and put it in a junkyard and sell it to somebody for 25 grand. Like I don't want to just.
To be fair, usually in an R8 situation, a junkyard motor is probably a car that's been wrecked.
Yeah, exactly. But I still don't trust that.
Yeah, it's not like it's 400,000 miles and it's time to put it out the
pasture. No.
Yeah.
It's been wrecked, but you don't know what it's been through or what it's done. You know, like. So I don't want to take that risk.
Wait a second. No, that generation R8 doesn't it? It shares the motor with the S8 as well, doesn't it? I believe so.
Don't think so. I think that's the 5.0. This is the 5.2.
Is it?
You're thinking like the Gallardo pre-LP and all that.
Oh, that might be
the
it.
5.0. We might be wrong.
There's a good chance.
I feel like I'm always hearing about these Audis and German cars and stuff and these ECUs. Like I don't understand the Mustang ECUs are. My orange car has been flashed so many times.
Yeah.
It's definitely got an identity crisis. It doesn't know whether it's a Ford Taurus or a Mustang anymore. I've gone through 3 different tuners. It's been flashed so many times.
The ECUs are only bad because in the R8 there's slats in the rear hood of the car and the hood. And then under that, there's like a mesh, to make it look nice. It's the carbon. There's a mesh. And so the water comes in, goes through the slat, through the mesh, and drips onto the ECU. And that's why my ECU, so the problem was my ECU was oxidized from the side out.
I'm driving 15 hours in the rain.
I would always drive. I
know.
And I'm sure the person before probably would. But I didn't know if that was going to be the issue, like the ECU, if it was going to fix it or not. So when it was down and I shipped the ECUs to Europe, dude, it was like from one day to the next. I was like, I'm buying an RX-7. I was sending people RX-7 posts left and right.
I got like 3 or 4 different ones from you.
Yeah, I think we had a phone conversation where I tried to talk you out of it. I was like, what? I was like, are you glutton for punishment? Because I know they can be unreliable.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do you really want something else that's going to be broken?
Tie me up and whip me.
Yeah.
So that's why, and it sounds kind of like bratty. It's like, oh, my R8's down. Let me just go buy a $35,000 car. But I wanted a track car anyways.
Something that you could beat on and be like, all right, I still have my other fun car.
Yeah, and I'm saving the money from working on the car myself. Let's say with the ECU and everything, it would have been over $50,000 to fix the issues it had. It cost me about $8,000. I saved, over 30 at least. I don't know. I'm not doing the math right. I'm sure it's
they say most like real track guys or like, so you start off and you're like, you buy this $100,000 car and you're like, I'm going to go track this thing. And then when you really get into it, you end up with a $30,000 or $40,000 shit box that you track. Because now you're pushing the limits to the point where I could break this thing or put it into a wall.
Yeah.
I've taken my skill to that level. So you don't want to do that with your.
There's definitely like, and you talked about this a lot with your car, right? Because like the GT500 in stock form is a fast car.
Yep.
Right. Like Piero was trying to scare me before the track day or whatever. And I'm just sitting here thinking like, okay. There's only one corner I got nervous on, and I sent it. I was sliding, but we don't talk about that. But like to push that car at its limit, like you could cause some serious damage.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're 760 at the crank, or 790 because your intake. It's like, especially on a track like Road America, which it punishes you.
Yeah.
Right? Like where that what was it, Camaro that went off?
The Viking Camaro?
Yeah.
Yeah, he went straight.
Dude, that was like, he almost bipped that wall. And it's like,
he was really close.
But I'm sure that car is not a slouch. I guarantee you it's probably making more, but probably between you and the RX-7.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're trying to drive at the limit, stuff happens.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's better to have a slow car, and it's a lot more fun driving like a slow car fast than a fast car slow.
Depends on the track too, right? Because like you remember, like you, me, and Piero, again, sim, but it applies. Actually, no, Piero can talk about this as well in real life because he's done it. He's like, if you drive like a 300-400 horsepower car on Road America, like, he's driven to Evo, he's like, oh, it's boring. It's not technical. He likes the technical tracks. Like his BRZ, he has a blast, or not BRZ, FRS. It's all the same.
It's an FRS with the GR motor.
Congratulations, it's all the same. But it's like he really enjoyed driving it on the competition course at Brainerd because it's a fairly technical track.
It is fun.
You could drive a slow car fast.
Yeah.
You will be banging your head against the wall at the top of fifth at Road America with a car like that.
Yeah. The Evo, anything. Yeah. Brainerd gets pretty scary. And I'm glad I have an RX-7 and not a R8 to take it through there. I mean, I have the R8, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm taking the RX-7. Well, given it's a lot of horsepower, but it's more manageable.
No,
Well,
it's I don't know. I really like Road America. I know that, but I have a car that it'll eat up that long straight, so it makes it more fun. Like I'm
don't like.
I'm watching 165, and then I'm watching my speedometer, and I'm going, okay, there's a 90-degree turn up here, up over this hill, so you can't hardly see it, and I'm like, all right, I want to see that number before I hit the brakes, and then you're in it hard because it's 90 degrees to the right.
I like Brainerd way more than Road America.
Yeah, I did like that one too.
It's a lot more fun. I like the kind of go-karty feel where you're just like, whoa.
It is definitely a little more go-karty. I enjoyed driving that small competition course. That was really fun. I think I only did like 7 or 8 laps, but getting coached by Alex Sajati, who we had on episode 70, was really fun. Like I learned a lot in just 7 laps of coaching with that guy. Yeah. Like you could see why he was driving GT4s like for real.
Yeah.
But we are coming up on your hard out. Did you want to pop the usual 3?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
no.
think so.
This is the part where you should be stressed.
Yeah, I thought about this and I was like, come up with an answer, and I just couldn't.
Yeah, I wrote them down and then came here and I still struggled.
He literally came with a notebook when he came on the podcast.
What?
It's like, I don't know, like when you walk into Home Depot, you're like, I got to get this, this, and this. And you walk through the door and it erases your memory.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck was I here to get?
I'm indecisive.
Yeah.
I like everything. Go ahead, ask the question.
All right. Anyway, at the end of every episode, we like to ask our guests to pick 3 cars, a track car, a show car, and a daily driver. You have an unlimited budget. You can put a Coyote and an RX-7 with a T56 behind it if you want.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Did you say unlimited budget?
Huh?
Did you
Unlimited
say
budget?
Yeah.
I think I did.
I don't know. I spaced out for a second. Anyways.
Track car, show car, daily. Here's the thing is like, I love the raw feeling of just daily driving a track car. It's just so fun to just have that.
You still got AC. I'm not hearing it.
Yeah. Well, the RX-7 doesn't have AC. So, honestly, it'd have to be like a twin turbo Huracan setup or a twin turbo Gen 2 R8 setup for like a street car. Like
you said for the daily?
I would daily that car.
All right. Well, now you have to choose Huracan or R8.
It would have to be a Huracan. Come on. Like it's got the Lambo logo.
Yeah.
I know they're the same car, but it's like.
All right. Yeah. Here's a question: who's going to build it for you? Do you know what shop, or is that you're not too familiar with?
It's got to be Ratified Motorsports, I guess.
Oh yeah. We'll have you be the R&D.
Yeah.
All right. So twin turbo Huracan. What color? I'm gonna push this a little bit. What color?
I didn't used to like bright colors.
Okay.
But
it was intimidating.
There's so much we haven't gotten into, like wrapping the R8 and the RX-7, the DDE 720 GTR, Lark Pink, 50 other words in that color. So since I put it from silver to that color, I've got to say I'm now a bright color car guy.
Yeah.
On the right cars with the black accents, it works well on the R8. It would have to be that color.
Really, for a Huracan?
I love that color, man. I wish that it didn't have such a shitty short lifespan, and I wish it was cheaper, and easier to install myself.
Yeah.
But it would have to be that Lark Pink. I love it.
It is amazing what a wrap, like with my car, if it was just the white black stripes, they'd be like, oh, another GT500. But the fact that it's Mystic Chrome, well, unless I'm riding around with your shit box, then everybody wants to look at your fucking RX-7.
The RX-7, yeah. Which we got
it's a running joke between us if everybody doesn't know that every time we're somewhere, people are drooling over his $30,000 car,
which
leaking oil on my trailer.
Yeah, leaking oil. I wrapped it myself so it looks like shit.
Yeah.
And people somehow still love them. But a track car, I hate to say this, but every time I go to the track, I'm getting walked all over by Miatas. So if I'm like talking about purely having fun, I know people are like,
which by the way was first in your class, the MX-5.
Dude, and probably pretty high on that list.
Yeah, it was
overall.
Yep.
Like people are like, oh, I want a whatever GT3 RS track car. It's like if you want to be fast, the Miatas are fast. It'd have to be like an LS swap.
Oh my god.
Harris is
my phone is going insane with my notifications now on this one.
Dude,
unlimited budget, you're choosing a Miata?
There was a GT3 RS on that track, was there not?
Yeah, there was.
I bet you that
it was just it wasn't an RS, it was a GT3.
I bet you that Miata beat it. And I bet you had a more
GT3
fun
does travel the country though. I was chatting with him a little bit.
I don't care. The Miata was fun to drive. It was more reliable. It was probably cheaper to work on. I guarantee it was cheaper to work on. And it was faster. And If we're talking about purely being quick and having a good time, I'm choosing a Miata.
Even unlimited budget.
I don't give a fuck. I want to have fun. Right? You know what? Show car Pagani.
Girls just
there you go.
Girls just want to have fun. Sorry, I was thinking. What did you say?
A show car Pagani. If you're talking about like unlimited budget, I will have a Miata as a track car and a show car as a Pagani.
What Pagani?
I'm not that into Pagani.
Well, no. You've played a video game.
The
or two.
Utopia is it Utopia
the new one?
The new one that
the
has
one with
like
the 4 exhaust,
and it's got like you shift it and it's got like 20 gears in it, or is that the Koenigsegg?
I don't know. You're pointing at me like I even follow any of that shit.
There's one of those two.
I think about the Koenigsegg that has 8. It's a really weird. It's
got like a 6 pattern, but inside it's doing different gear. Like it has like 10 or 15 gears or something. And as they shift it, it figures out which ones it wants to go through. It's a really weird setup.
I think you might be thinking about the Koenigsegg.
That is the Koenigsegg. That one specifically is the Koenigsegg. Whatever.
Which Koenigsegg is it?
I don't fucking know, man. Don't put me
What
in
do you
this
guys
spot.
like? So I think about this all the time. Where you guys know all these cars. Where is there like an encyclopedia somewhere that just tells you, or is it just come across your news feed from social media? Like,
YouTube
how do you know?
videos.
Should I be? I know you can't read Car and Driver anymore. Like, where are we finding out
Where are
these
we
cars are
reading
coming
Car
from?
Just YouTube videos. I think it's
Yeah.
when you go through YouTube. enough,
Before
it starts
that, though,
popping up.
I don't know about you, but a lot of my knowledge came from like video games. Like, for example,
Yeah.
the Pagani Zonda Cinque, I think is how it's actually pronounced, the R, right? The white with
Yeah.
the black and red stripe. Like, that was my car in Need
Yeah.
for Speed.
Yeah.
Like, Need for Speed, Forza's a big one where I learned a lot about cars from Forza. Gran Turismo was my first video game. That's where the Viper Comp Coupe was a big for me.
Forza Motorsports for my Xbox guys.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I switched from PlayStation 2 to Xbox 360,
Yeah.
so it's like I got
Forza was great.
Yeah. All right. I'm not letting you leave here before you figure this fucking car out, right? Because you can't just say Pagani.
I like Paganis. I'm not a picky guy, man.
So is it Pagani?
I
and
go through a
Koenigsegg?
lot of cars. I've had a 1980 Monte Carlo, 1970 Beach Buggy. I've had the R8, Mazda now. Like I just like cars. I would like a Pagani just to feel how it feels and hear how it sounds.
Yeah.
That I don't know specifically.
Are you trying to look it up now or something?
Yeah. No. Okay. So I think you're thinking. Okay, I'm gonna pull it up here because it's on Top Gear. The Koenigsegg manual / automatic CC 850 gearbox, right? Is that what you're thinking about?
That's a weird way. Like, can you even consider that a manual?
Is this the one you're thinking about?
I don't know what it looks like, man. I've heard people talk about it.
I don't know.
But it's weird because it's like you shift it and the car actually just figures out what gears it wants to go in. Like it's not a direct link to the transmission. It's almost like having paddle shifters, but you're doing more work.
Yeah.
It's like
What's
paddle
up with
shifters,
that?
but more work.
I'm gonna have to do research because I think I know what you're talking about, right?
Mhm.
All right, we're gonna put a picture on the highlight
So,
here. Here's the
mystery
car
car.
Jay chose.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like letting people walk out of here without a concrete, definite answer, but I think we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah. I am standing on the Miata track car though.
That's gonna be iPhone's gonna be on fucking
Well, how
fire.
much are they? Should we just go get it? Just can
I
we buy
almost
a
bought
triple
one before
pack?
the RX-7.
Just like a 3-pack of them in a little suitcase. And be like,
At Autocross,
Yeah.
they're fucking me up, and I was like on the
Yeah.
big track, I was like, I will step on a Miata, and I still got walked all over, and it had the same motor. I don't know if they come turbo, but that one had a turbo.
Yes, that one I did do. It sounded the turbo.
Yeah, so I don't know if it comes like that or not, but even if you had to add a turbo, like the guy walked all over me
Yeah.
and everyone else. Yeah. So it's just like, and he's probably a fast driver anyways.
are they still a Ford affiliate, Mazda? No? Like they were just like under the banner of Ford? I can't remember.
Trying to link everything
Somebody
forward,
Google
man.
it and get back to us.
I just know they're fast.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
sweet. On that note, where can everybody find you?
Oh man.
Please don't give your address. That's happened before.
I was about to say, slowly transitioning to Car Bodega. So Car Bodega together on YouTube, car.bodega on Instagram. And then I guess we're going to do all the other social medias. It'll be something like that on other social media soon.
Did we ever officially introduce this guest, by the way? Jay Horta? Did you even like?
I don't
drop
think I've
his
ever
name?
said Jay Horta. I just said
Yeah.
Jay. I think I did. I did say Jay Horta from Car Bodega.
Doesn't matter. Now
I feel like there's a lot we didn't go over.
yeah. Well, see, that's what I told you. It snowballs.
Like I'm a
quickly.
very DIY person, and like we didn't go over like how I'm an idiot and wrapped my own car. We've went over, which is probably the least of the concerns versus taking your R8 motor apart.
Yeah.
But
Let's do some more track stuff. We'll definitely be. I
Dude.
think you're definitely another
definitely
episode.
Well,
We just can't do them back to back.
No, I mean that's fine. I mean, I'm gonna have a lot more under my belt soon, traveling across a couple states to buy a trailer.
This. I hope we're gonna do way more of this.
A lot more. And now I'm buying a trailer. Lots of spontaneous buys. So it's gonna be pretty interesting in the next couple months, and we're gonna have maybe a rebuilt RX-7.
Yeah.
Still need to compression test it. So.
And then you, Dan?
You can find us at Gunnet Garage. I put a big sticker on the back window now, so whatever this coverage was, 2 ends. Sorry.
I was staring him down. And then as for me, you guys are about a little over an hour deep into this episode. Make sure to follow on All Things Monoxide. Join a newsletter. That's where I do all my giveaways. We just announced our first Lunatech giveaway winner, so that was pretty cool. They'll be getting an entire Lunatech detailing kit. We'll see who we get on for the next episode. I suck at intros. This is episode 91.
This is an
outro, whatever. You know what? The caffeine's wearing off, bro. It's okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Jay, thanks for coming on. And Dan, thanks for existing. We'll see y'all next time.
Thanks for existing.